All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you to all of our attendees that are joining us for our webinar on the current roadmap for Dynamics GP. I know some of you very well as my clients that are in here, and it's great to see you. My name is Travis Brooks, and I'm an account manager here at Kopis within our ERP division. I will be your moderator today, and I also have fellow ERP account manager Heather Mitchell joining us as well as Adam Drews, who leads our ERP team. If you are not familiar with Kopis, we were founded in 1999, and we are a Microsoft Dynamics partner for GP, Dynamics Nav, and Dynamics Business Central for any ERP implementation, customization, and support. We are also a provider
So,
for custom software development for internal and external applications for web and mobile. And we also have a business intelligence practice that focuses on SQL servers, data warehousing, and visualizing through dashboards like using tools like Power BI. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. We welcome your participation and questions throughout this session. If you'd like to send in a question, feel free to do so via the chat function and we'll address those throughout the presentation. Or you can use the reactions icon on Teams to virtually raise your hand and unmute yourself to ask questions. As a follow-up to this webinar, Heather and I will reach out to you on next steps and give you the opportunity to schedule a strategy call with one of our consultant team members and ourselves so you have a roadmap and a plan for your organization going forward. With those items out of the way, I'd like to introduce you to our general manager of Kopis ERP, Adam Drews. Adam, I'll pass it on to you.
all right, welcome everyone. I'll get started right away since we have 25 minutes or so. Just going to go through kind of a reminder of the platforms that Microsoft supports and kind of their roadmap for those platforms. Been talking about how Microsoft's strategy has been a little bit of a carrot and a stick approach, and we'll kind of update on that. Some of the things that we heard at Directions, which is the partner-focused version of Summit, in the partner conference, and as we talk amongst ourselves and talk with Microsoft, the impacts that we're seeing in the channel, and then obviously any questions, whether throughout or at the end, we can cover. All right. So as far as the ecosystem, Microsoft purchased three different mid-market ERP platforms. They bought Great Plains, they bought Navision, and they bought Solomon and turned those into GP, Nav, and SL. And it's no secret that Microsoft's investment these days is in the Business Central platform, which is the evolution of the NAV, the Dynamics NAV platform. It's a new name for NAV, and they are developing that in a cloud first manner, but they offer both cloud and on premise for that Business Central product. And it's no secret that if they could snap their fingers, they would love for all of their current ERP clients to be on Business Central. But that's not a reality of an undertaking of a change of an ERP system is no small nothing to take lightly. And so, but what we can see is kind of what those what that's causing. So, number one, Microsoft's investment in the GP and the SL platforms is starting to taper into more maintenance mode. They're certainly still doing some investments in there outside of security and tax updates, but predominantly uh, that has kind of shifted all of their investment into the Business Central platform. On one hand, that's a good thing, right? We have essentially three budgets going into one budget for one product, which is, as we look forward way in the future for those who want to maximize their time on the GP. If Business Central is the right platform for you, then that's a pretty great thing for where they're going to take that platform. We're starting to see Microsoft was the first, but then now the ISV or our add-on, that's our acronym for our add-ons in the GP space, that the ISVs are beginning to do that as well. And so We're seeing uh, these product software companies who are modifying, who have traditionally modified GP and AV and SL. A lot of them are kind of descending onto the Business Central platform, and there's more competition between apps, as well as we're starting to fill different types of gaps. So it's kind of neat to see. There's maybe a little bit better product fit for some organizations to kind of revisit what their product map looks like. We're also seeing the labor merging into Business Central. So a lot of GP and Solomon SL consultants and developers are who want to continue to extend their careers. Some are staying on the GP and SL platforms, and they'll likely kind of ride that to retirement. But others are moving and retooling and reskilling on the Business Central platform. So we'll see how that impacts us as well. As we look at what Microsoft has done, they initially started with incentives, and so that was our carrots in our analogy. And we knew that at some point they would likely have some sticks, and we've started to see some of that in the ecosystem. We and and so what we see right now is they do have license options to help organizations move over into Business Central. You can simply get a 40% discount on Business Central licenses as one option if you're making that switch. Or if you're in transition, you can actually get both Business Central licenses and your GP maintenance for simply paying your GP maintenance. That's a 3-year incentive deal. So you want to make sure that you're going to likely land in that transition period. So it's not something to necessarily do if you're not ready to make the move, um, but something we can strategize with you. Also, not in the GP space, but in the Business Central space, there is a nonprofit discount. It's actually 60%. So that's an option for some of the our nonprofit clients. So those are some of the carrots. Um, as far as what Microsoft's advising the partners and the ecosystem, last year Mike Morton, who leads the Business Central, he's the GM there. He said, "Look, we have no secret end life and end of life for GP. Uh, what we're seeing as far as that's concerned and kind of the actions behind that phrase is they are continuing to say that they'll support GP until at least, so they say 2028 and beyond. Now we haven't seen them update that date over the last 2 or 3 years, so that continues to be the and beyond date. So again, this is not to create any type of, and we're not trying to scare you into moving to Business Central. I'll talk a little bit later as Kopis, we want to support your business and what's right for your business. We would expect that Microsoft would continue support after 2028, but we probably will see that that's truly a security and tax and things like that, and not much continued feature investment after that. We have seen price increases on the maintenance side now twice. So once we went to 16% of your protected list price, so I think it was last year. This year they announced that they'll go to 18% of your protected list price as your maintenance cost. That'll start in October of 2023. So if your renewal is October 1st or later, that's when that price will increase. The perpetual license cost will go up as well at that point. We don't know what that is yet, so that we're still waiting on advice from Microsoft on what the new perpetual license cost will be. Now, the other thing that we're seeing is that Microsoft is not discontinuing any new license purchases with existing clients. So if your strategy is to stay on GP as long as you can and make use of that investment, then there's no advice that we'll need to stop purchasing it. We'll have some kind of end date there. But if and this is more of an indicator and not necessarily a direct impact to those here on the call. But we are hearing that, and they've advised that we won't be able to spin up a new client on Dynamics GP at for perpetual licenses on that 2025 date. So that is sort of an early warning indicator for kind of what they're what they're thinking. And overall, you know, what we're gathering, and this is getting into opinion here. So this is my professional opinion, but they're balancing the pace at which clients are moving from GP and SL and on-prem NAV over to the over to the Business Central platform, and they're going to use these types of carrots and sticks to get the pace that they want uh, without losing the this, the clients from the they would like to they would like everyone to move over, but they're trying to create some type of movement. The modern life cycle would be the last of the stick category that I would say, and that's where as soon as you move on to the 18.x release, as far as the mainstream support is for 1 year. So to stay in that mainstream support, we've got to update yearly. And if we haven't talked with you about it, we do have strategies to try to drop the cost. We need some help from you and your team on the IT side for that project style. But we do have a means for dropping the cost of an upgrade if that's your continued path. So we're happy to talk to you about that. All right, so I mentioned this is the published roadmap. You can see that GP 2018 is their fixed life cycle, and we're ending mainstream support here in 2023. That'll go into extended support, but then the modern life cycle. So we'll start to see more of our clients who do want to extend their life on GP move into the modern life cycle, and we'll get on that pace for upgrades faster and efficient. But that does kind of show you this has been the published life cycle now for a few years with the 2028 and beyond. All right. So what are we hearing from other partners, our ISV partners, those add-ons, or other partners like ourselves? We're definitely seeing, just like Microsoft, the add-ons are going into a little bit more, some more than others. It depends on their strategy, but and we have a webinar that will give you updates on the add-on products here coming up that will show up here at the end. But these at ISVs are on the average going more towards maintenance mode with their GP and SL, and even their legacy NAV add-ons. And like I said at the beginning, many of them are making significant investments in the Business Central extension market, the app source integrations. So whether they're an embedded add-on or an integration, a lot of them are making investments into the Business Central space. So compared to last year and the year before, we're seeing a lot of progress on those ISVs and a lot more adoption, as well as some significant improvements in their products. Like I said earlier, the partner labor across the board, one of the things that was discussed at Directions, the partner conference, we are seeing many of the people that I saw at the partner conference. This is a Business Central partner conference. We're seeing longtime GP consultants there now, all beginning to retrain or continuing to retrain on Business Central. So we are seeing that shift in labor. And so, what does that mean for the ecosystem? Kopis is continuing to make sure that we have coverage for our GP clients. So we did just hire two more consultants within the last 6 months. Both of them have GP backgrounds. They do have Business Central backgrounds as well, so they will be involved in implementation and support for our Business Central uh, uh, clients, GP and Business Central moving over. But we will have additional capacity to do projects on the GP side. And we still have our relationship with Glossio to help make sure that we have a deep bench in case any to support the demand that our clients need and be able to strategize with you. We are starting to hear from this is probably the most lagging of all the indicators that we've talked about on the client side. We're starting to see that a younger generation is more likely to expect a modern application or web-based application. Um, that's still pretty early, but that is something that we're beginning to hear as and mostly from net new clients and prospects as they talk about what their needs are from a for their own businesses. And one other yes, one other thing that we talked about at the partner conference is that there is a concern amongst the partners that there will be a eventually, not now, but eventually maybe a GP labor crunch at depending on the pace at which GP companies decide to move to a different platform. Um, like Business Central, is there going to be there's an expectation or a prediction within the whether there be a labor shortage culminating into a rush to work because those things may be correlated. So, like I said before, continuing to invest in team members and also making sure we have the relationship to support you all. So I said this before, both on this call as well as other calls. We have a strong GP base, and we're not in the position to tell anyone that they should move to Business Central. We're not trying to push anyone to Business Central. Our goal is to support your business strategy and um, and decide and helping you decide, should I maximize our time on GP? We've kind of we describe it into three different categories: maximize their time on GP. uh, I'm curious, but I want to learn more about Business Central, and I'm already beginning to put plans in place to move to a cloud platform. And we can help you at whatever category you are in. Like I said before, we're investing still in kind of that cross GP and Business Central talent. That's it's been a sweet spot for us for finding team members. We're definitely investing in other ancillary and correlated or tangential products. So our business intelligence team has really taken to the Power Platform. We have a strong Power BI and Power Apps team, so those things can help maybe bridge, maybe help extend the life of GP if that's your chosen path, or if your path is to move into the cloud, a more integrated application solution approach with more of the Microsoft platform. I think I saw a question. Reading that, Jordan. So we've seen pretty good adoption from our GP clients who've moved over to. So let me restate the question. Jordan asks, "What's the experience been so far with transitions and retraining, both for reporting and transaction entry for the various GP models?" we've seen pretty good adoption. There are some things that Business Central does a little bit differently. Segments versus dimensions is a change that, as well as the posting groups. So there's a couple of concepts there that might be a little bit foreign. And once we get over the hurdle, some of the feedback we're seeing from both our clients and then the consultants who are training them are about a 3 month, like really ramp up to feeling really, really comfortable for transaction entry. So we've seen some pretty good adoption. The We have different options on the reporting side, both built-in reporting and external reporting, depending on what you're doing in MR or any other add-ons. So there's a lot of different options. But overall, from an entry and usage perspective, we're definitely seeing that the modern application, especially just being able to get onto the application without any type of Citrix or virtualized desktop or anything like that, that's been a pretty great experience that we've heard from clients. Hopefully that answers your question. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the timings that we're seeing from our moves. We're typically seeing that those who are predominantly finance, so GL APAR, uh, typically in the 2 to 3 month time frame schedule wise for a move. That's not a full time Copus person. Uh, 100% billing on this. So it's not an indicator of cost, is what I should say. But it's really about giving you time to do that user acceptance testing part of the process to really get comfortable, so that you're hitting the ground running in the new system. We've built scripts to take data out of GP to push into Business Central, and there are also some other strategies around keeping the data in a database. So we can talk to those. When we get into the medium complexity, so there might be some small gap fits or like some things like that. We're probably talking about 4 to 6 months, and then we're getting for the complex implementations, it's probably 7 to 12 months. Those usually do some kind of gap fit project first, and design, and then roll into implementation. And so what we're doing during that is reevaluating. It's as we up in complexity, it's sometimes a chance to reevaluate what apps you're using in GP. Are there different apps? I mentioned that there's a little bit more competition. There's also been evolution in some of these applications. SalesPad is a pretty good example. And they've uh, made a big change in the way that they've approached Business Central compared to GP, and it's a pretty incredible evolution. They've strengthened on what they're really great at, and they've made partnerships with the likes of companies like InsightWorks to do where they've already been strong in. Uh, we've also seen where some companies have actually taken some of their custom applications outside of GP, and kind of rolled that into an integrated application on BC extensions to make that upgrade process easier. Um, on the licensing and infrastructure side, we you know we're happy to help if you're interested in starting to look at Business Central. We're happy to help you do strategy around when, these are typical triggers on when you might want to begin looking. uh, you know when you decide to do the discount, or it's a trigger to kind of plan in advance, as well as any investments you've made in infrastructure. So if you have physical servers and they're coming up on their life cycle, or when you need to upgrade your Windows servers and SQL Server, those can be triggers and to help with the planning process. We're happy to strategize on that. And with that, I I'd leave you with at this point, we're happy to talk, uh, you know, help you plan what's right for your business. It's helpful for us to know kind of where you're thinking. If you do want to stay on GP as long as possible, again, I said that's a perfectly valid strategy, and we're happy to help you maximize that. If you're just beginning to evaluate cloud, we can start to help educate in more detail specific for your organization. And if you're really kind of in that more advanced planning stages, and we can start to strategize. And some of you on the phone today, we're already doing so. So um, our next webinar, we don't have a date yet, but what we were going to do next is start to kind of categorize and look at what some of those add-on products have done within the GP space. What do they look like in the Business Central space? Questions? Travis, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate your insight there. Just as a reminder for the folks, since we're at the end of our time, if you would like to book a strategy session with our team to talk through what that roadmap would look like for your organization, Heather and I will be reaching out to everyone that's an attendee here individually with some options for booking that time. And we'll also have a email follow up with next steps there for what's coming down the pipeline for our next webinar in this series. With that said, just wanted to say thank you to everyone for taking the time. And with that, our webinar is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Hopefully, you found this informative.